Welcome back everyone, Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. Also, GamerSupps is currently doing another gift with purchase event. For every tub you purchase, you unlock a new tier that lets you get some nice stuff, anywhere from a cup to a nice comfy sweater, as well as many other goodies that you'll have to just take a look for yourself. This is limited to while supplies last. And don't forget to use code Oz at checkout, because every purchase made with that code actually directly supports the channel. And without further ado, let's get to the video. Am I the asshole for not picking up my wife from the dentist? I had our 2-year-old son with me in the car on an errand that took nearly in total an hour and a half while my wife went to the dentist. He spent probably an hour and 10 minutes in the car seat. I was arriving at home at 6:16 p.m., at which point my wife called just before I parked, asking if I could pick her up as she was just done at the dentist. This would involve an additional 6 to 7 minutes going there, 2 to 3 minutes picking her up, and 7 minutes back again, assuming no issues with traffic. I can feel my American audience sharpening pitchforks right now. Oh my god. I said that I prefer to park and go home, and argued that our boy has been in the car too long. He needs to release energy. It's getting late, and she won't save much time versus the bus. The dentist is right next to a bus stop that goes directly to our home, which departs every 10 minutes. For reference, it was just a checkup, no interventions done. For an hour and a half? I could clearly hear that this upset her, but she hanged up and I called her again, explained the situation and went inside to give our boy a fruit snack, started dinner and vacuumed the house. I estimate that I would have brought her back at 6:34 p.m. In the end, she got home at 6:40 p.m. after missing her bus stop and therefore losing a couple of additional minutes. She still claims that I'm in the wrong for not taking the additional trip with the 2-year-old in the car seat, and that this makes her feel that I don't value her. On the other hand, I claim that I was in the right as our boy enjoyed the extra time at home, and we avoided having dinner later than necessary. I got chores done and it only cost her 5 minutes or so. Just FYI, we live in a first world country, European, with very safe and clean public transport. So am I the asshole? Every American listening to this right now is probably just frothing from the mouth at the fact that you're complaining over a 7-minute drive. For some people, that's how long it takes to get out of an apartment complex or a subdivision. It's just getting to the main roads. I'm sure your 2-year-old wouldn't have minded or noticed the extra time that it took to go pick your wife up, which, yeah, she has the right to feel like you don't care about her, and if you really didn't want to go out of your way, just be honest with her. Just tell her that you don't want to, because it's very obvious you didn't want to, because you did the math for how long it would have taken you to pick her up, and then try to justify it with the bus stop excuse. I get that you have something amazing called public transport. We Americans aren't fortunate enough to have that. Our bus might show up, and that's a very heavy might. So maybe in European countries it's perfectly normal just to expect your wife to take the bus home instead of going to pick her up. But it still doesn't change the fact that she probably feels not very good about the fact that you prioritize 20 minutes of your time over her. I don't know. Hey, those of you who are in Europe in my audience, could you let me know if what he did was fucked up? Or if that's just perfectly reasonable? Because in America, telling your significant other in every city except for maybe LA, Chicago, and New York to just simply take the bus home is tantamount just simply telling them to fuck off and that you're breaking up with them. Am I the asshole for staging an intervention? Me, 20 female, and my friend, 20 female, Babby, were in the same friend group all through high school. We all got into a uni in our city. All of our friend group stayed good friends, except Babby. We noticed some changes in Babby's behavior at the start of the first semester, but after she started dating her boyfriend, 21 male, her behavior did a complete 180. She lost a bunch of weight, started exercising and eating weird stuff, got into a ton of new hobbies, started a job, etc. She turned into an extrovert and suddenly didn't have as much time for us. She stopped using most of her social media and only talked about wanting to travel and buy a house. It was crazy. It was as if she was a new person. Though we tried to support her and show that we were with her throughout this, she only distanced herself more and more, and was basically only spending time with her boyfriend or her new friends. When we invited her to group things, she would come, but be kind of checked out and unenthusiastic the entire time. She comes to birthday parties but stays an hour, gives us the gift, and then goes. We planned a week-long group trip to celebrate the end of semester, but she just texted that she already had plans with other people and would not be able to go. After more than a year of this, we decided that we had enough. I read that sometimes abusive relationships can make a person drastically change their behavior, and since it happened after she started dating this new guy, I thought that it may be related. So we staged an intervention about how her relationship was changing her as a person and harming her friendships. We invited her to have lunch together, and then, when she got there, one of our friends brought it up that we were really worried about her and her relationship, that she had completely turned into another person and was distancing herself from us. Then we suggested some resources and said that we were always there to help. She did not take it well. She got super mad and said that she's the happiest she's ever been, that it was the first time in her life she actually liked herself, that she was completely miserable throughout high school, and if we did not recognize that, then we were bad friends. When we tried to argue, she just rolled her eyes, got up, and told us to not speak about her relationship like that ever again. I'm confused. We were pretty much always together during high school, and she definitely was not completely miserable. She was a normal girl. The only thing that I can think about is that sometimes other people would be mean to her, but we never did that, and she never seemed bothered by it. My other friend suggested that victims of abusive relationships sometimes deny their situation. So maybe that's it? Am I the asshole here for being worried and staging an intervention? She's pretty mad at us, and none of her other friends at uni will talk to us. Her boyfriend never liked us anyway, so obviously he's mad too. So, I'm gonna be 100% honest here. What they describe does not check off any boxes for being an abusive relationship. Actually, it sounds like Babby's in an incredibly healthy relationship and is actually being more of herself. If you're in an abusive relationship, you're not going to find yourself suddenly eating healthy foods, losing weight, starting a bunch of new hobbies, making a bunch of new friends, getting a new job, becoming extroverted, and on top of all of that, stopping using social media as much and wanting to travel and buy a house. That is nowhere even close to being an abusive relationship. If it was truly an abusive relationship, there would be a lot more signs than what was listed here, because from everything that was listed by OP, the only red flags that I'm actually getting is from OP. If it was an abusive relationship, there would be cracks. You would get glimpses and moments of the true person trying to come out before it gets swept underneath the rug. There would be delays, denials, second guessing, and while of course not everyone would have a similar instance like this, there would be signs of it. There would be behavioral differences of them deep down knowing something's not quite right and occasionally cracks popping up or them making excuses for their partner's behavior. There can be an infinite number of signifiers or signs, but what you described in this post does not sound like any of them. Unless they're involved in a cult, then yeah, that could be part of it, but that doesn't sound to be the case here. Am I the asshole for upsetting my best friend's wife? In September, my best friend and I took a trip. He's married, I'm not. While we were planning the trip, I suggested an Airbnb to accommodate me having female company in my own room. He agreed, and never once indicated that it was an issue, and not once did I ever think he was interested in extramarital affairs. His wife, in my opinion, is highly insecure. Implants, tons of makeup. I should mention, we're all over the age of 40. Hear that, everyone? If you're over 40, implants gone. No makeup. You're not allowed to be insecure anymore. Grow up! This guy's gonna get out of my fucking skin. My best friend is loyal to a fault. He takes his vows and marriage as his biggest responsibilities. When he proposed to the woman who had 3 kids of her own, he added on to the home that he bought years before and moved them all in. I don't see a reason to have trust issues with a man who is that decisive and intentional in his relationship with her. They, of course, talked daily. He would give her updates as to what he had seen and done. Upon our return, she questioned what he had told her during their daily phone calls. Even asked, "Are you sure there were no girls over at your place?" During our trip, I had company over, as planned, and my friend excused himself. When the party was over, I texted him, clear, to let him know my company had left. He was not even in the house when my company visited. Fast forward 2 months. She gets an opportunity to go through my friend's phone and finds the text messages I sent during our trip and questions him. He tells her I'm an adult and he was not included in my activities. She's upset at me for putting him in that position. Clearly, if he was not, at all, tempted, I do not understand what position I put him in. Am I the asshole or is his wife tripping? So, getting my ducks in a row first, I just want to make a comment on the fact that it does sound like his wife has some insecurities on how much she wants him to check in, her checking through his phone, and various things like that. Nothing that can't be worked through couples therapy, if they deem these to be issues enough to actually go to couples therapy about. Now that that's out of the way, I want to talk about OP and how childish he is. Like his comments about her appearance, how she acts, how she is, calling her the woman, the comment about her having 3 kids. There's a lot of weird little snide remarks and comments that definitely make me raise an eyebrow. And if his writing can be a judge of his character, which I believe it can be, my guess would be is that his wife probably doesn't fucking trust you, bro, and thinks you're a bad influence and thinks that you're just probably not a good person, but tolerates you because she loves her husband, she knows that you're his friend, and doesn't want to break that connection up, but probably doesn't like you, and I can't blame her. But of course, I want to get some opinions from the audience. What are all the women in my audience thinking? What are all the NBs in my audience thinking? What are all the men thinking in my audience? Do you guys agree with his behavior, or do you think he's some sort of goober that should go back to his goober cave? I really want to know from all sides of the aisles. Am I the asshole for not helping my ex? The separation is finally over. I, male 29, had one last meetup with my ex, female 31, to exchange some belongings. Her parting words: "Thank you for the beautiful relationship we had. After your selfish post-breakup behavior, I'm happy I broke up with you and that we never had a child." She broke up with me, yet she feels entitled to criticize how I handled it. We were together for 7 years. The breakup happened because she didn't want the family life I'd hoped for. I knew from the start she called herself child-free, but I hoped love and stability would change that. Months before the breakup, I gave her an ultimatum: work on herself and prepare for the future, or we'd have to end things eventually. After 4 miserable months, her being miserable, she broke up with me for the 3rd and final time. Her reasoning? Guilt for not giving me the life I wanted and claiming the breakup was best for me. She didn't consider how this would affect me, starting over, dating again, and facing my worst fear of ending up alone. Dude, you gave her an ultimatum. You're the one who broke up with her. Don't give an ultimatum if you can't handle the worst of the options. Anyways, I had mentally prepared myself and was done with her. She stayed with friends for a few days before we met with our therapist, where she gave a guilt-ridden speech about not being enough and how I deserved better. Honestly, I was over her by then. She'd put me through hell for months, and I was tired of the crying and manipulative attempts to make me feel sorry for her. I avoided her until I moved out, and when I did, I felt free. During the separation, I let my parents handle most of the meetups and the apartment sale. I had checked out. I wasn't trying to be an asshole, but I didn't want to see her. Despite not living there, I still paid 40% of the rent and left her all the food in the fridge. Meanwhile, she was constantly rushing things, demanding responses within 48 hours, forcing me to take items I didn't want, and pestering me about dividing belongings a month before her moving. She made herself out to be responsible and mature, but I know she wasn't. Her behavior during and after the breakup was exhausting. She wanted me to stay her emotional support while I was barely holding myself together. Now she's acting like I was an asshole because I didn't help her with the separation. But honestly, she chose to end things. So Reddit, am I the buttface for not going out of my way to support the ex who broke up with me? So I already mentioned this earlier, but dude, you gave her the ultimatum. You're the one who chose to break up with her. You told her, either want a family or we're done. And she didn't want a family. She felt she wasn't enough for you. So she felt it was best for you to live your happiest life if you two split. And you made that clear to her, by the way. And honestly, yeah, your girlfriend did make herself out to be the more responsible, mature one because she was. Are you joking? While you were essentially just sloughing off and not doing shit and making your parents do the work for you, she was active in trying to actually handle the breakup, get things handled, move out of the apartment, dealing with your parents because you couldn't be bothered, and then you're here complaining that she wanted responses on things that had legal ties between you two, that being the apartment, within 48 hours. Yeah, she's the responsible one. Ooh, you left her the food in the fridge. That's gonna expire, you fucking idiot. And also, damn, she was asking me if I wanted to keep things that she was probably gonna throw out if you didn't want them, but double checking and making sure, hey, do you want this? She's forcing me to take them. Just say no, dude. You admitted that you did the most immature thing in this instance, and that's checking out and not giving a damn. And now here you are, on Reddit, playing victim because you gave your girlfriend an ultimatum to either have a family with you or the relationship would end. And she didn't want to have a family, so the relationship ended, and you're the one claiming that she broke up with you. Honestly, she dodged a bullet. Am I the asshole for calling the cops on my fiance's sister? This happened a long time ago, but I feel like my fiance's sister isn't over it since she never talks to me, and when we all play games together or go to family events, I get ignored by everyone except my fiance. I'm not able to explain all the reasons why I believe she doesn't like me due to character limits, but I believe the main one is that I called the cops on her. Oh, so we're starting the story in the middle of it. Okay. I tried to create a good relationship before this whole incident. Here are some things she has done to why I don't want her on my property. What the fuck is going on? She's threatened me before. She called the cops on me while I was living with her dad, and my fiance because she didn't want me there when my fiance wasn't there. She does drugs and has destroyed other people's property, slashing people's tires. She yelled at me and my fiance when we tried to help her communicate to her, and she has complete disregard of others. There's other petty, smaller things she has done as well, all of which is in the comments. So I did just stop recording and go and check the comments on the original post to see if there was anything from OP that explained what they were stating here. And there's not, so I don't know what to do about that. Here's the story where I called the cops on her. Last February, me and my fiance were living at my house and he ended up breaking up with me. He left the house, went to his sister's, and ignored me. I ended up leaving the house to go for a drive, and I received a text message from him saying, "Me and my sister are coming to grab my stuff." Prior to this, she didn't know where I lived, and I liked it that way, due to all the stuff that happened in the past. And I didn't feel comfortable with someone knowing where I live when they hate me. I texted him right back and said, "You can get your stuff and move it all by yourself, which you have done in the past when we moved your stuff to my house." And I followed that up with, "If she comes, I will call the cops, and if you really need help, ask your friend, your mom, or your dad." I turned around and headed back to the house, and they were there. His sister was parked on the road by my house, and he was in the driveway. Under Florida residency law, my fiance was still considered a guest, not a legal resident, since he did not pay for any rent, bills, or necessities. I warned him in prior that if she was on my property that I would call the cops, which is exactly what I did. I told her that if she didn't leave that I would call the cops, and she refused, so I called them. She even tried to enter my house. No cops showed up and nothing happened legally. Anyways, yes, we were toxic then, and I'll admit I had a lot of flaws. We are now really good. We are living together and happy. I made sacrifices and so did he to fix this relationship, and now me and him are the happiest. But since the holidays are coming up, I've been ignored by his sister during Thanksgiving and while playing games online. I don't know what to do, and me and my fiance think I don't deserve this, since I have tried to redeem myself and show that I'm willing to be friends with his sister. I also want to say that me and him agreed she wasn't allowed over, or to even know my address before he moved in. Anyways, I'm sorry this was so long, but am I the asshole? I think everyone in this situation sucks if I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I am missing so much context as to what actually happened in the events that transpired. Like, honestly, it just sounds like your entire life is just filled to the brim with drama, and you claim one thing, but then your actions speak the exact opposite. Oh, I want to be friends with her, but I want nothing to do with her. I also, honestly, don't even think the reason why she hates you is about you calling the cops. I really do think there's probably a lot more to this story that you're not sharing. And even if I were to give you benefit of the doubt, I'd still give you the rating that everyone here sucks, because you're definitely no angel. Am I the asshole for emailing my boyfriend's teacher? Hi, my 16 female boyfriend, 17 male, has been extremely stressed out at school and stressing about applying to colleges. He had mentioned he had an essay due soon and how he didn't know how he was gonna find the time to write it. For context, I absolutely love writing and have never gotten lower than a grade of around 90% on an essay, so I offered to write it for him. I assured him I didn't want anything in return for doing it, as I genuinely enjoy writing papers. I know some people may think of that as cheating, and I honestly agree, but that's besides the point. Anyways, I finished the essay and made sure to meet every single one of the requirements that his teacher had posted for the essay. I spent a lot of time on it and was pretty confident it would get a decent grade, but spoiler alert, it didn't. Flash forward to today, and he had sent me a screenshot of his incoming grades, and I saw the paper I had wrote got a 75. At my school, this is equal to a C, which is not bad by any means, but I was a little shocked by it. He said he was totally fine with that grade and thanked me again for writing it, but I was not satisfied at all. I went back to his account to look at the essay so I could see what feedback was left on it. To my surprise, there was no feedback. I showed the essay to both my parents, who are teachers at a high school. They both agreed that it was very well written and definitely deserved better than a 75. Because there was no feedback, I asked my boyfriend to send a nice email to his teacher and ask why he got the grade he did and what he could do to improve for next time. He refused and told me he didn't care about the grade he got on it. He told me not to email his teacher too. Now, I know this was definitely not the best decision I could have made, but I emailed his teacher anyways. It was very nice and short and read something like, "Hi, I was just wondering why you gave me a 75 on the essay. I didn't find any feedback when I went to check, so I was just curious what I can improve on for next time." I really did think it was harmless. When I told my boyfriend I did it, he got extremely angry and upset at me and told me I lost his trust and proceeded to break up with me over text. We have been together for almost a year, so this was a shock. He told me I invaded his privacy and majorly overstepped, and that he could never trust me again. While I completely understand his point of view, I was genuinely doing it because I care about him and didn't want him to end the semester with a bad grade in the class. I know his feelings are valid, but I do feel like this is a bit of an overreaction. I feel like emailing a teacher about a bad grade shows them that you care about their class and is ultimately harmless. I have apologized profusely and told him I understand I crossed a boundary that I didn't know was so important to him, and he refuses to talk to me. I think I know the answer, but am I the asshole? So, looking past the fact that you have committed academic dishonesty and yes, this is cheating, just on like a fundamental level, like you can't even argue with that. I just want to double check this because you weren't 100% clear with the language here. Did you break into your boyfriend's accounts and email the teacher on behalf of him? Or did you email the teacher as yourself saying that it was your essay to admit to the cheating? Because either way, either one, you invaded your boyfriend's privacy to stroke your own ego and find out why you got a 75%, or two, you emailed the teacher as yourself, admitted to the academic dishonesty, and possibly got your boyfriend fucked over because you, used your own account. Either way, you either invaded his privacy or screwed him over. And both of those are not fun. I also want to add something that's obvious as an adult but probably not as a high schooler. The reason why there was a 75% is because the teacher probably recognized that it wasn't his writing, and with the age of ChatGPT, had probably no way to prove whether or not he actually wrote it or not, or prove that it was written by someone else, or an AI for that matter. So they probably just middle-lined it and thought, okay, well I can't prove that it is his writing, but this most certainly, after teaching this child for a year, is not his writing. So I'm going to give him a 75% as kind of a, I know what you did, but I can't prove it. Am I the asshole for not giving my friend my number, but giving it to others? My friend, I'll call her Jessie, confronted me when me, her, and another friend were out. She started it off by asking me about this trip we planned and how she felt unsafe to go because she only had the other friend's number and not mine. So I told her, "Don't you have your mom's number?" And she suddenly asked me, "Why can't you give me yours?" And I immediately apologized and gave my number, but she wouldn't take it. She just wanted to know why I didn't give it to her before. And I said it was a misunderstanding. And then I told her that she didn't ask enough, but she said that she asked multiple times. I said I thought she was joking, but she said that she texted me one last time through Instagram a few days ago before our confrontation, and that she asked, "Doesn't so-and-so have your number?" And I said, "Yeah, she does, and you don't. Too bad." And she texted back saying, "Why don't you want to give me your number?" And I said, "Oh, you want my number? I thought you were joking." And she texted, "I'm not joking." And then I ignored that message and just reacted to it with a clown emoji and changed the topic. What the fuck? And that's when she confronted me in person, and I kept saying it was a misunderstanding and that I was sorry, but she wouldn't listen. Then I told her that I asked if she wanted my number in the past and that she said no, and she said she never said that and that I never asked her. She said that 4 years ago or so, she asked me for my number through text, and she said that I said I didn't have it right now, and that I'll give it later, but never did. And at the time, she let it go, but this time she realized that I was texting on my phone. How can I not have it? She said that throughout the years, I kept telling her that I didn't have a number, or that it was anonymous, or that I would ignore her request, which is true, but I didn't know it would affect her this much. She said she thought I was private, but then realized years later that I had given my number to everyone I'm friends with, even new people. Except her. Then she said that everyone else has my number, even the ones I just met. And I told her that it's because I like giving my number to people who I'm not close with. And that I like that we can be close without having each other's numbers and texting through Instagram. She said that it doesn't make sense, and that there have been times where she needed to call me when we were meeting up because I didn't have data, and she couldn't get a hold of me and had to text the other friend instead. Jessie didn't want my number anymore. She said, I was fine without it this whole time. I'll be fine now. I still texted her my number and apologized again and said there was no reason. And she forgave me, I think, and she hung out with me twice after that, but she was still very distant. And then I asked if I did anything wrong, and she said no, and that she's just busy. A few months later, I asked to meet up with her, and she said that she's busy. I apologized though. She left for this? Oh my fucking god. She said and I said and she said and I said and I forgot the punctuation and I can only do run-on sentences and she said and I said and oh my fucking god. Ah! Also, OP, would you like to enlighten us on what the misunderstanding is? Because asking someone for their number and getting a clown emoji being received as the response, I don't know what the misunderstanding could possibly be. Or, hey, I don't feel safe on this trip, can I get your number? You have your mom's number, don't you? What is the misunderstanding there? It is pretty fucking crystal clear what you mean by that. Like, if you don't want to be friends with Jessie, just fucking tell them that. Don't lead them on. I also just love how we in real time gotta watch someone attempt to gaslight Jessie and write out the fact that they were attempting to gaslight Jessie and are somehow wondering, hey, am I the asshole in this situation? Yes, you are. On a second note, this does actually remind me of a really kind of tragic story from middle school. There was a kid that I hung out with for all 3 years of middle school. I thought we were good friends. Only problem was, I was going to a different high school. So in 8th grade before summer, I was like, hey dude, we should like meet up and hang out during summer. And he just looked me right in the fucking eyes and said, nah, I'm good. Like, what am I supposed to do? I was fucking crushed. Howdy everyone and welcome to the outro. There's currently a free gift with purchase going on with GamerSupps, where if you buy a tub, you can get a shaker, a shirt, looks like a stocking or a mouse pad, a jug, or even a nice comfy sweater, as well as many other goodies that you'll have to just take a look for yourself. This is limited to while supplies last. And I will say their merch is definitely high quality. So this is a good way to get your hands on some and sample it before actually committing to buying some that's not with a free gift with purchase. Remember to use code OZ at checkout, and every purchase that you make through GamerSupps using my code actually directly supports the channel. It's a great way to help keep my projects going, and keep in mind, once we hit a certain threshold, I might be able to get my hands on my own flavor. And God knows I'm going to make them squirm. They don't believe I can, but have some faith in me. I know I will.